We're getting ready to go into another year, and God has given me some words as He always does, and I just want to send this message out before the new year come in. This goes for a lot of people, and there's three things that I'm gonna put in here, and hopefully that people will listen to, because it's very important. And this message is going to be called "Blessings and Grace." And it's all about blessing and grace. And the reason why I say that is because you have to understand that nobody can sit up here and say to you that you are blessed. You have to call out your own blessings. You have to be the one that sit up here and say every day, I'm blessed. God has blessed me. You have to realize that your mouth that you speak, what comes out of your mouth is what you receive. If you don't sit up here and say you're blessed and everybody else say you're blessed, your blessings are not coming to you, because it's what comes out of your mouth that makes you blessed. That's what keeps you going. That's what God goes by, what comes out of your mouth when you say blessed. And there's three things that I want to say. Also, I want to speak about grace. God gives us grace. And the reason why, sometimes you ever notice, sometimes you go through so much hell, okay, and you wonder how you got out of it. Well, you know what it is? It's grace. Grace is all around you. Grace keeps you from losing your mind. Grace keeps you from going insane. Grace keeps you from killing somebody. Grace keeps you from destroying yourself. Grace keeps you from being an alcoholic and doing drugs. It's all about grace. Let me tell you about grace. Let me tell you how good grace is. Grace is so good that when the three went into the fire, okay, and they tried to kill him in the fire. Remember the three that went into the fire, and God protected them. That was grace. That was God shedding them with grace. So when they came out of that fire, okay, they didn't even smell like smoke, because God has protected them, gave them grace. And three things that we have to remember. One is that you have to remember is you have to guard your grace. When God gives you something, and what we have a tendency of doing, see, when God is taking you somewhere, you can't always take those people that was with you, your friends, your family, and every time something happens, you call on them and you go to them and say, hey, come with me, because God is taking me this place, God is taking me that place. It doesn't work that way. This is what I say when you have to guard your grace. Your grace is a personal thing that God gave to you. And sometimes certain people cannot go with you. We're always trying to put people in positions to go as places where God don't want them to go. Okay, that's protecting your grace. You cannot take everybody with you on the journey that God has you going to. Yet and still, we always trying to drag people into places and whatnot where God wants us to go, and He's not telling you to bring people with you. Sometimes you have to go into it by yourself. Those three that went into the fire, they didn't take other people with them. They went through because God told them to, and He protected them. He brought them out unscorched, unburnished, unblemished. He brought them out with not even smoke on them. And this is what God is saying to you. Guard your grace. You have to go sometimes into the fire by yourself, and you can't take other people with you. That's rule number one. Guard your grace. You cannot take everybody where God wants you to go. Okay. The other thing is when it comes to our mouth. Okay. We always want to talk about blessings. We're blessed going in and blessed coming out, and we bless this and we bless that. But sometimes your mouth, okay, sometimes our mouth will get us in more trouble than what it is. See, because you never know who's listening to you. You never know who's watching you. See, we have a tendency of running our mouth sometimes and whatnot, you understand? And then we don't know how much influence we have on other people. Your mouth can sit up here and stop somebody that's a sinner from getting closer to God because of what you're saying. When you sit up here and speak negativity about other people, and you talking about other people, and you always bitter, and you always this and that, and you always complaining and murmuring and whatnot, you understand me? People are watching you, and they looking at how you react to situations. So if you're that kind of person that reacts negative all the time, and you always have something negative to say, and you're always talking about people, and sometimes when it comes to our own kids, We talk bad about somebody else, and then when our kids meet them or go to them and whatnot, that person might be a good person, but because you spoke negative about them, you done changed their whole atmosphere on how that person is. And God is saying, keep your mouth shut. Be quiet. Sometimes the best thing that we can do, this is rule number 2, sometimes the best thing we can do is be quiet. Don't say nothing. Okay? Your mouth sometimes can be the falling point of somebody getting saved. Okay? And it can be the falling point of somebody getting close to God. Either it can be a negative or it can be a positive. Watch what you say. Watch what comes out your mouth. We have a tendency of talking too much. We have a tendency of complaining too much. We have a tendency of murmuring too much. Watch what you say. The third thing I want to talk about is being still. Okay? When God is taking you through something, we always have a tendency of jumping from one place to another. And if it don't work this way, and if God is not moving fast enough and whatnot, we want to sit up here and we want to we want to jump over here because this is not working. So we're going to jump over here because, God is not moving fast enough. And God don't move fast enough over there. We're going to jump to the next place because God's not moving fast enough over there. And God is saying, I cannot operate in your life if you don't stand still. Sometimes we just, I speak to people sometimes and they trying to figure out what God has for their life. And that's fine and well. The best thing to do when you don't know what to do is to be quiet, hold still, and watch God do his thing. I keep telling people God's time is not our time. We always trying to rush God into something. God is not about what we want. He knows what we want. He knows what we need. Okay? And what we want and what we need is two different things. Yet and still we always trying to push God into doing something that he don't have designed for us. So when you ask God, what is my purpose? What is that you want me to do? And you don't get an answer from him, hold still. Just hold still. God is not a God that's not going to sit up here and give you the answer eventually. He's going to give it to you. But hold still. Stop jumping from place to place, because when you jump from place to place, God cannot use you. God cannot bless you. God cannot give you the things that you want because you're unstable. And God do not deal with unstable people. He deal with people that's stable. So if you want to be stable and strong in God, hold still. Those are the 3 things that I want to give everybody for this new year. When you coming into a new year now, you coming into a new year, like I said, where you can't take everybody with you. You got some people and friends that you might have to leave behind. You got some people and whatnot that you might have to disassemble yourself away from. And that even go with church people. Just because somebody in church and whatnot doesn't always mean that they have your back. Just because somebody's in church and whatnot doesn't always mean they have your good. And just because somebody's in church don't always mean that they know exactly what they're talking about, because God will sit up here and give you the person that he wants you to go to. We go to church people because we think they know everything and whatnot, and they speak to God and everything else. But that is because that person goes to church. That might not be the person that God wants you to sit up here and relate